Hello everybody, this is Frizo Bob here. Welcome to the first edition of Discussions Racing's Review for 2019. I am joined by Domtron Wazowski today as we shall be talking about the events that happened this weekend at Daytona International Speedway. This includes Lucas Oil 200 on Saturday, and for Sunday, the Daytona 500 qualifying session, and the absolute mess that was the Clash. So, so I'm going to be giving my opinions on the things, and then Dom will give his opinions, and, and I promise to make these race reviews a thing throughout the entire year like I did for 2017, because, as you know, for 2018 I decided to stop doing the race reviews as soon as Gen 3 came out, because I had an interesting idea of what I was going to do for, the race reviews, but then the thing kind of fell off, so I was like, yeah, so I didn't do any more race reviews for the rest of 2018, but I promise you that for 2019, I shall be doing a race review for every single important race that happens. And I promised not to stop doing them from mid-year, and I'll be doing them in this format, which is basically just a single raw video format with a still, because it's the quickest way that I can do these. I literally made this still here in about 30 seconds with 3 various images that definitely describe the events that happened this weekend. So let's begin with the Lucas Oil 200 ARCA race. So, for starters, it was a very crazy race. It seemed like every 5 to 10 laps there was some kind of accident. Because
every 5 to 10 laps?
Yeah.
It's more like every 2 laps.
Yeah, because it seemed like there was an event where somebody was being stupid because somebody spun out. And there were 2 situations in particular where a guy didn't know how to bomb draft and wound up spinning the other guy out and wrecking quite a few other guys in the field. So
actually, I got notes on that.
Yeah.
So here, I'll go over some of that real quick.
Alright, so you do that.
Yep, you keep talking, I'll get those up.
Alright, so anyway, with that being said, so lap 3 already there was an accident, and that was absolutely brilliant, because people were wrecking, and then the race did at least go for some laps, which was quite interesting, and I can hear myself on Domtron's thingy-majig.
How can you hear yourself? My microphone's nowhere near my headphones.
I hear it echoing, and it's disturbing.
Better?
There we go. Actually, no, never mind, no change.
That's probably on your end then.
No, it isn't, because it's annoying to talk. Anyway, continuing. So, yeah, there was a crash in lap 3, then there was other thingy-majiggies, and then there was eventually the pit cycle, which went about as well as you could possibly expect. Nobody crashed on pit road, so thank goodness for that. And then the race continued onwards, and there was apparently there were continued events of cars falling apart and cars not working correctly. It seemed Domtron was paying more attention to that, so I'll let him talk about that.
Yeah, I have a whole list here of, like, everything that happened.
Oh dear. Anyway, continue. And then came to the, near the end of the race where, the guy that drove number 4, I forget who it was, I think it was Todd Gilliland, I don't remember, because I didn't know all the drivers, apart from Natalie Decker and a few others. But yeah, so that was a really stupid moment that I honestly was a little bit upset about, because I'm screaming at the television, that is not how you bump draft. Like, that right there is an example of bump drafting done wrong.
Exactly.
And wrecked a lot of cars. But then the finish of the race was quite interesting. I thought they were going to do like a green white checkered finish like how NASCAR does it. But apparently what ARCA does is that on these high-speed tracks, they apparently do like a one-lap shootout to the finish, which to me was a little bit unexpected, because I'm a little bit of a foreigner to ARCA because I don't usually watch their races, because most of their races weren't even broadcasted last year. Apparently some say that all the ARCA races will be broadcasted this year. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm going to have to do some more research into that. But the finish of the race was quite nice, as Harrison Burton was able to lead the field all the way to the checkered flag, and Harrison Burton did basically dominate throughout pretty much the whole race. There really wasn't any lead changes to see here and there, but, you know, so so anyway, Harrison Burton won the race. I thought this was quite cool because I already knew of Harrison Burton's existence, I believe, from NASCAR Heat Evolution, NASCAR Heat 2. He was definitely one of the NASCAR Next drivers in one of those games, but I can't remember which one. And I actually found out, looking him up on Racing Reference, that Harrison Burton was born exactly 1 year before I was, so that was quite interesting how we share the same birthday. So in the end, I was rooting for Harrison Burton to win the race, and apparently Harrison Burton is also going to be ruling the full entire Gander Outdoors Truck Series season, so that's going to be interesting. So overall, I wouldn't necessarily call this race good, because there really wasn't a lot of racing. there was more crashing and stuff, so I couldn't exactly sit back and, watch the drivers do the things. But overall, it certainly wasn't a bad race. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go down, John?
Yeah, so on my end, so some of the crashes were insane. So, like Froning was saying about the bump draft, they actually ended up wrecking the car in front of them. Luckily, they were able to repair it with what looked like duct tape. And talking about duct tape, it seemed like one of the cars had a little bit of duct tape on its front grill. I guess, as Froning explained it to me, it was the whatchamacallit, vent tape or
Grill
whatever.
tape.
Grill tape, okay, yes. So we actually made the joke about it actually being flex tape that came off another car. But yeah, that was actually on the number 20.
Hmm.
And the 61 and the 66 got spun out, as well as the 22 apparently. Oh, and there was a funny commercial where they were asking everyone's favorite smells, apparently, and Chris decided that his favorite was sneezes, of all things.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was pretty much a crazy race. Literally everything that could have gone wrong did. One driver, his neck came down near the start of the race, that he had to come in for that. Besides that, nothing else really happened. Oh, the 25 suspension went out. So I think didn't they leave early?
I think they were out of the race, but I wasn't actually paying attention to that.
I'm pretty sure the 20 whatever car I said was taken out because its suspension was all messed up. Oh, and they near the end of the race, like with 5 laps left or whatever, there was a crash caused by the number 4 that took out the 28, the 32, the 55, and almost the 23. Pretty much what happened is that the number 4 was pushing the 23, and the 23 crashed into I believe the 32 car. So pretty much what ended up happening is they went into overtime, and well, what happened. So
And there you go.
I cannot believe what happened. And I will say Harrison had one of the better winning go arounds or whatever.
Winning cars?
No, better victory lap.
Oh.
That's the term I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and me and Frony, we're actually gonna talk about this in a minute. We pretty much guessed what what today's race was gonna be like. So Frony, go right ahead with that.
All right. So continuing on. So what happened the next day was Daytona 500 pole qualifying, which I won't talk about too much, but I will at least mention a few pointers here and there. So it seems to me that every single year NASCAR has to rig the Daytona 500 qualifying. For example, in 2013, Danica Patrick won the pole award, which created a story of the first, that was Hangouts, the first woman to ever win the pole for the 500. Then the following year, Austin Dillon won the pole, and
Austin Dillon.
And blah blah blah. If you guys want more insight on that, just look it up on somewhere. So I was wondering.
Don't forget the triggering of your two favorite drivers being first for part of the
Oh yeah, there was a point in the race where. Oh yeah, there was one point in the race where Matt Tifft was the fastest lap time, and Matt Tifft, I don't like him very much, and neither do a lot of people. Cause
well, actually, I was talking about the qualifying where Logano and Keselowski were in the front starting position.
Oh yeah, there was also a point where the two Penske drivers were in the front row. There was Keselowski second and Logano in third. I didn't really mind Brad Keselowski up there because I actually kind of like Brad Keselowski. As for Logano though, I'm still getting over the fact that Logano won the championship last year, even though should have been Busch, but that's a rant that's already been done. Continuing on, I was still wondering who could they have rigged the pole for this year, And what do you know? Eventually, in round two, the top two were William Byron and Alex Bowman, two HMS drivers. And not only that, but Chase Elliott and Jimmy Johnson got third and fourth. So overall, it was a Hendrick 1, 2, 3, 4 for the starting spots in the Daytona 500, or at least for the qualifying bit of the race anyway. The 2 and the 3 and 4 part, of course, going to be a different story after the duels, which will be happening on Thursday. But overall, it was really cool, honestly, to see William Byron on the pole because, it's just cool. I don't know why. I guess just to see the number 24 on the pole with the third driver to drive the 24, as it was previously done by Chase Elliott and Jeff Gordon. And it was also cool to see Alex Bowman up there, even though Alex Bowman was already on the pole last year because hashtag it's rigged and Hangout's doing a thing again. But overall, nice to see. Like I said, nice to see two HMS drivers on 1, 2. I guess we'll just have to see how well Chase Elliott and Jimmy Johnson are able to hold up during the duels and the Great American Race. So there's your info for the pole award things.
Indeed.
Yeah, so anything you would like to add, Domtron?
Nope, I pretty much had all I've wanted.
Alright, so with that being said, moving on to the Clash, and OMG, this race was just a complete mess. It started out with the typical freight train racing that has become common at these plate tracks, thanks to NASCAR failing to realize that this plate package that these current Cup cars use is not good. There were times where I thought this package was decent, but there's been other times where I just think this package is rubbish because the main problem with this plate crash, and so many people have ranted about this, is that you cannot pass, and it's been shown so many times in the history of NASCAR, and it was shown today. As you saw, or as saw in the race, well, you saw for yourself, it's just the freight train, like I just mentioned. Then there was Mother Nature, and, I remember a few people post on Twitter saying, oh dear, Mother Nature does not like the idea of freight train racing. So, that was quite interesting when Mother Nature decided to come in and stop the race for a short period of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was also kind of a point of interest with the pit road stuff, where Denny Hamlin apparently got quite a bit of a run on the other drivers and managed to make up 4 spots. So that was a actually cool move to see from Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, and then we haven't seen enough Denny Hamlin yet.
Yeah. And then the race continued on. It was a typical boring freight training, and Daniel Suarez did actually try to make a few moves here and there. I remember the commentators commented on how Daniel Suarez overtook his old ride. So that was a sweet thing to taste. And then they continued on with the freight train, and then came basically the ending of the race where Jimmy Johnson had fear of the rain, and so therefore he tried to make a move on Paul Menard, but then Paul Menard decided to come down on Jimmy Johnson. So as a result, both Paul Menard and Jimmy Johnson tried to make moves. It backfired, and then the whole rest of the field was wrecked apart from 3 cars.
Exactly.
And then the rain came back again, and the race was called, and Jimmy Johnson was declared the winner of the 2019 Advanced Auto Parts Clash. And I was really not happy after this race because, it is kind of cool to see Jimmy Johnson get his first win after all the changes. Jimmy Johnson is a new sponsor of Ally, and he has his new crew chief, who I think it was who I forget the name of. Was it Darian Grubb or was it a different guy? I don't remember.
I forgot.
Yeah, so, that was cool, but it would have been a lot cooler if Jimmy Johnson had passed Paul Menard with some professionalism and won the race, beating him to the line, which is how I wish most races would end. But seeing Jimmy Johnson win that race and I was just not happy with the results of the race, and I said to myself, just overall, the Clash was just a complete mess this year. Honestly, one of the worst races I've ever seen.
Hey, could have been worse. Joey Logano could have gone first.
Honestly, even if Joey Logano won the race, I still would have been all bit cross, because...
No, that's what I'm saying. It could have been worse, because Joey Logano could have won.
Well, think about honestly, it couldn't have been worse, because I mean, if Joey Logano did win the Clash, it honestly would have felt like a lot more regular Clash race. But seeing Jimmy Johnson win that race the way he did was just, it just felt so draining. Cause
Jimmy John.
the whole, honestly, like the whole race was just overall just a mess. It was just bad, like just bad race. And we've seen bad races before in NASCAR, especially for the past couple of years, but this race was especially bad. And if this is how the entire season is gonna be with the new aero package that they're bringing for this year, I might reconsider watching every single race this season at that point. You know, I hate to be that way because there's already a few guys in the NASCAR community that has chosen not to watch the race this year. But if this is how the whole season is going to be, I might as well join them in boycotting NASCAR instead of watching IndyCar or F1 or any more sport that isn't NASCAR. But we'll just have to wait and see come Atlanta and Las Vegas and so on and so forth. But overall, bad race. 2018 was honestly slightly better than 2017. Probably the best Clash I've seen as of yet. And heck, that race, you know, what's funny is that the 2017 Clash race wasn't even supposed to be ran in the daytime, yet that was the case because it was rained out the previous day. And then, of course, NASCAR decided to make the change of putting the Clash on Sunday. In 2018, it was pretty man. This year it was pretty bad. And if NASCAR doesn't make a change next year, I bet it's going to be completely horrendous. I don't know how bad it could possibly get.
Next year, every single lap will be a crash.
Oh, God. Yeah, if that's
I'm told I'm the crash person.
yeah, if that's the case, I might just tune out. I don't really know. So, let's hope that the duels and the 500 can be a better race than the Clash, because otherwise, it's really probably gonna set the tone for the entire season, and then we'll just have a 2018, 2015 style season, and I really don't want to have another of those. But if that's the case, then well, I am out. But there you go. That is our opinions. Actually, Dom, anything you want to add?
No, but I don't have anything to add. Go right ahead.
All right. So, anyways, there you go. With that being said, that is our opinions on the events that happened this weekend. I will be doing a race review on the duels like I did last year. Unfortunately, Domtron won't because he's going to be touring the Trick Show that night, so he won't be able to watch the race. But I'll probably tell him about it afterwards.
Wait, what
anyway.
race?
The duels, the Daytona duels.
When is that?
Thursday night.
Yeah, I actually have something funny to tell you about that. I will be watching it.
Didn't you say you were gonna?
I will be explaining later. Just go right ahead.
All right. Well, okay. There you go. So that is all. Overall, that is all for today. We hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I promise you that we'll be reviewing every race that happens this season. And, yep, that is all. So we shall see you guys in the next video.
Good night.